Good afternoon and welcome to Have a Chat. I'm Audrey Lynch with my co-stars Judy Loge and Veronique Arsenault on another gorgeous Monday afternoon here in Miramichi.
We really can't complain about the weather this
No,
it's
not at
awesome.
all. No, not at all. Not this time. We have an amazing show lined up for today. Very interesting show. I'm pretty sure we're going to have lots of viewers today interested in hearing our guest today, Chris Aylward.
There you go. Aylward. Good job. Good job.
Joining us today from Ottawa, I believe, to talk to us a little bit about the payroll center and everything that's happening down there. So you're not going to want to miss that. But we're going to start off with our quick chat portion of the show, like we always do. And you're up, Vera, with our quote.
I am. And the quote today is because we want to, give a huge hug to everyone that we know who's struggling right now with some pretty heavy feelings and some grief. But anyway, so this kind of spoke to me when I read it. So grief. I give myself and others permission to grieve at their own pace, recognizing that all people are different in their journey of healing. I give myself and others grace, acceptance, compassion, and kindness on their grieving journey.
Beautifully said.
Yeah, well, it spoke to me this morning, so I thought, it was pretty significant. So, you know what, and grief comes in so many different ways, whether it be, the death of a loved one or, the loss of a marriage, the end of a marriage.
Your own animal at home.
And our pets. And, grief, there's so many things, or when we, don't succeed at something, that there's definitely grief in that
as well. The loss of that.
Yeah, so, we have to learn, and none of us are good at grieving at our own pace and allowing us to have that.
And certain things hit you at a certain time, like you could lose someone 10 years ago, but a song will remind you of that person. You'll break out in tears just because that moment and that person and that song comes together.
Different.
Yes. Most definitely.
Some people don't
people
do well
want
at all.
to stand back, and some people need to be with and others all the time, and others just want to stand back.
You don't know how you handle things. Like on a real personal level, if you were to lose a loved one, do you want people surrounding you, or do you want to shut your door in your room and just cry your heart out?
Yeah.
Both, I guess.
Yeah.
Both.
I think a little bit of both. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you for that, Veronique.
Well, every now and again something speaks to me, so that was it.
Spoke out loud.
Yes. Well, we want to speak to a few people. We want to give a few shout-outs for some people who have been watching us faithfully.
Very faithfully.
Yes.
Definitely. We want to say hello to Ronnie Dixon.
Yes. Yeah, he sent me a message last week. We've been chatting back and forth, and he said he's been a huge fan of the show for a long time.
So we want to say hi to Ronnie and thank you for watching.
Yes, and Tommy Murphy said, would you give me a hello? Hello, Tommy. And
so we're
Michelle Obama, we were having lunch last week. Michelle said, would you say hi? Hi, Michelle. So nice that you're doing, some traveling and having fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, Orlando Bloom said to say hi too. Yeah.
That was something else. Did you see Orlando Bloom?
No, she was saying something that...
oh, my goodness.
What happened?
He was naked.
Oh.
Giddy up.
Okay.
Giddy up.
I missed that.
Photographers captured him butt naked with his girlfriend Katy Perry on their little romantic getaway in Italy.
And he was paddling on a paddleboard.
And she was fully clothed. I don't mean like in a long bathing suit, one piece, in a bikini.
He wasn't wearing a thong.
Nothing.
No.
Not that we didn't see it. We didn't see it, but it was covered.
Yes, he was. He was out there in all his glory.
Could you? I mean, it's one thing to be confident, and then they're super confident, please.
Yep.
Well, you know what though? I feel for them.
You do?
Because, in this way. Because no matter if he were a regular person out naked paddleboarding, nobody would have cared.
Yes, they would. I would be like, look at that guy out there paddleboarding butt naked.
Well,
I don't see that every day. Do you see that every day?
He's pretty stunningly built, though.
Not as much as Justin Trudeau.
True.
Well,
true.
We didn't know Justin Trudeau had a six-pack ab going on here till he was in Vancouver.
You can paint those on now.
No.
You can.
Let's
contouring.
Let's do that tonight.
I don't think he painted.
Can you paint anything on?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Well, he photobombed someone's wedding.
Yes. That's right, too.
He was
on vacation.
Yes.
No.
Not on purpose.
No.
But I was shocked because, when you see people dressed in a suit in their professional garb every day.
So you didn't recognize him? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't.
I'm sure you did.
I said, wow. And then 5 minutes later, I saw his face. I said, that is Prime Minister Trudeau. I couldn't believe it.
Can you imagine, though, having a wedding picture photobombed, number one, by your Prime Minister? That's unusual.
Yeah.
That's unusual.
Even if he had all of his clothes on.
And then secondly, by a very buff, shirtless prime minister.
I couldn't believe it. I thought, when does he get time to work out?
No, those are photos they're going to have and share.
Go, Justin, go. He was in Tofino, and he went out with his wife and family. They did some whale watching, and they were on Tofino Island having a great time, and they attended the Pride Parade also in Vancouver.
Yes, yeah.
He's really supporting the community.
He is the first prime minister to walk in the Toronto Pride Parade and the Vancouver Pride Parade.
Now, the National, of course, that's going to garner votes, but hey, it's supporting all those people that wish to be what they are, and they're gay, and that's what it is.
Well, and he walked in the Pride Parade before he was prime minister.
Yes.
So there you go. He's a very true to himself person, and I give him kudos for that.
Well, talking about bodies and shirtless and whatever.
Of course we were.
Right into talking about, are you watching the Olympics?
Yes.
When I get a chance to.
Yes.
I'm all about the water sports and the swimming, and I watched the men's freestyle relay where there are teams of 4.
I just watched the abs. I'm just into the abs.
I'm like, they had showed some old videos from way back when they wore the little Speedos, and now it's a full, but it leaves very little to the imagination.
Yes.
But beautifully
I love to watch
sculpted,
I know.
powerful swimmers.
I know. Talking about bodies, right?
But I love the swimming events because they're quick and they're fast, and there's a winner right away.
And diving is tremendous. That's my fave.
And that's what I watched yesterday.
Love it.
I watched the diving, and it was spectacular. It was the women's synchronized diving,
right?
Which, I mean, I can't even jump off a diving board, let alone do it at the same time.
You're a swimmer.
Oh, I was a swimmer, but I wasn't a diver, and I was terrified of the diving board. I swam competitively until I was almost 30.
And the Newcastle Whitecaps.
Yes,
I got pushed off a diving board. That's as far as I got.
But seeing them do it, synchronized, it was amazing. And the story though out of the women's synchronized diving was the Italian team. One of the members of the Italian team this was her 5th Olympics, and she had not medaled. She had won every other international competition in her career. Her father was an Olympic medalist, diving medalist, and she had not won an Olympic medal in 5 Olympics. Wow. And she won silver yesterday with her partner.
Okay.
I thought that was amazing.
That's
but what makes that's wonderful news, and on the sad news is that the people that are, for example, Jason Day, the top world men's golfer from Australia, is backing out because he's terrified of the Zika virus. Zika. And so I think 7 others
going in this year.
7 other male golfers have dropped out.
Isn't that,
and we have one female golfer from South Africa. But you know what, though? I admire those people. They're saying winning isn't everything.
The risk is too great.
Well, Jason Day said, my family, we have two children at home. We want more. And I'm putting the risk on my wife and my other family members. So I just say, congratulations to those competitors. And he's taken his title and settled for what he has.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, I want to give a shout out to anyone who, of course, I'm leaning towards the Rugby Canada, Rugby Women.
Yes.
And I watched the highlights this morning of, I believe, last evening's game where the Canadian women actually beat out France. They came back and beat them out. Absolutely amazing. So they go on to play for the gold, I believe, this afternoon against Australia. So tune in for anyone who doesn't watch sports or anything else like this. You've got to watch the Olympics.
Big.
You've got to catch at least the highlights. You don't have to sit down and watch. But catch the highlights. It's truly amazing to see these athletes, especially coming out of our country, and just the stress and the, you know what I mean, of all of that, even being able to be chosen to go there.
Yes, exactly.
They're all winners. All winners.
Well, I thought it was a neat story. I played volleyball in high school, but I don't typically watch it. But the men's volleyball team, the Canadian men's volleyball team, were ranked 12th in the world. And yesterday they played the U.S. men's volleyball team, who were ranked 5th, and they beat them.
Yahoo! Way go, Canada.
And it was such a shock. It was such a shock, But and you're right. The Olympics is such the pinnacle of achievement, and it can be heartbreaking, or it can be moment making.
Oh, the injuries too they sustained. That cyclist yesterday, that was horrific. Did you see that bike crash?
Or the gymnast?
Oh, I saw the bike crash. No. The Dutch girl that was going around the corner at top speed. She was in first place. She rounded that corner, and they said that's been a site of several major accidents over the number of courses. And she is 3 small fractures in her spine, and she's in intensive care. But what got me was she was in the lead, and the cyclist just kept going past her to win. Yeah. Would you not think, if I saw you on the side of the road, to stop and say, I don't care how bad my title is, this girl's laid up in a ball of cement?
I think they probably assumed somebody else would help them.
Yeah, I know, Veronique.
I know.
I
know what you mean. They
assumed right by her, looked at her and kept going to win the gold. I'm thinking, holy crap, is it everything to win? I'm not competitive, can you tell?
No. I'm like,
I'm not. I am about certain
when it
things.
got to that, well, see, I'm not sports minded a whole lot, and I don't watch very many. But when it comes around to the Olympics, I'm afraid
You
in
would
there.
go. You would
I'm
pass
in
me
there.
by, crumpled up in the street.
I'm pretty sure there's medical staff
She's
along
trying not to
route.
say yes. She's trying not to say yes.
I'm like, there's medical staff all set up along the route for people like you.
I know. I have too much compassion. I'm like Mother Teresa.
But did you see that? And I only saw a brief picture, but there was the gymnast, the vaulter.
Ooh, that's devastating.
He had the significant accident where he significant accident where he broke a leg in like several places, and like it was all kinds of bad.
It takes a lot to break a leg.
Well,
actually,
it was all kinds of bad, but but I'll never forget, and this goes back, I'm dating myself now, Greg Louganis.
Oh, yes.
When he hit his head on the diving board.
the back of his head.
The back of his head. And seeing his little
that.
crumpled form fall into the water, I'll never forget it.
No, me neither. No, that just gives
I
me
know,
goosebumps
I've got the
just
same
thinking
ones.
about it,
Yeah.
but I remember seeing that and having them play that over and over.
I know.
Yeah.
And then he kept diving.
Yes, I know.
He continued.
Now he's an announcer, right?
I know.
Sports announcer.
Yeah.
But Brooke Henderson, we have to watch for her, the Canadian
Okay.
golfer. She's
Okay.
ranked the 3rd golfer in the world for
my goodness.
females, and she is Canadian. She's beautiful too. And you know what? Golf has not been one of the games being played in the Olympics since 1904.
That's amazing.
So it's like 112 years since.
Wow.
Yes, since they had a golf championship in the Olympics, and it was George S. Lyon who took that from Canada.
Wow.
When the Olympics were in St. Louis in 1904.
This is
So
amazing.
they just introduced it as a sport again in the Olympics all these years later.
I'd love to see
Over a
dragon
century.
boating.
We could do it.
I watched the men's rowing.
I would love to see dragon
was-
boating
You were
now.
looking for the,
It was, and I watched the men's polo. All the men's
the
events
men.
were this morning.
Yes, I see that.
Orlando
Polo
Bloom.
looks really hard.
Yeah.
Polo?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That looks really hard to
Yeah.
be treading water that whole
Yeah.
time and trying to throw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swimming's my favorite, and gymnastics, I think. Do you have a
Yeah.
favorite sport?
I love the water. I
Me
love the
too.
water.
What else do we
Anything
got
to do
going
with the
on,
water.
Audrey?
Well, you wanted to talk a little bit about accents and
Oh,
traveling.
well, I just got back from a trip.
Where was it you were?
Yeah, I was down, which most of you probably have been to, in Boston area, and then we stayed in Cape Cod and Kennebunk before that, and ended up in Martha's Vineyard.
Okay.
And the accents there are from all over the world. I
Yes,
sat
they
beside
would
a
be.
physicist from German, and we had a great time talking, and it's beautiful there. And when we got back to the restaurant area, they were smiling. The waitress was smiling at me as we were ordering our dinner. And I said, "What is so funny?" And she said, "How you say chowder." But it's how she was saying it to me. And I said, "What do you say?" She said, "It's clam chowder."
Of
Oh,
course,
it's chowder.
yeah, of course.
Chowder.
And I said, "Oh,
Chowder.
chowder." And she said, "You say chowder." Like I was being
Yeah.
really like
You
odd.
enunciate all the letters that you use to
Yes.
spell it.
And then she said to my husband, "Do you want a beer?" And he didn't know what a beer was. You know, it was pretty cute.
Yeah.
Then I
Yes.
was in a store and I said, "Isn't that lamp charming?" And she said, "Would you say that again?" And I said, "Charming." And she said, "Again?" And I said, "It is so charming." And she said, "It's really charming. I love how you say it."
Oh, goodness.
Charming.
I love accents.
Yeah.
But
I love it.
it's hard sometimes because like a beer. I knew what a beer was.
Yeah.
My husband sure didn't. I said, "You're sure you want a beer, honey?"
But I find people will often say when they come to visit from outside of the
That
area
our
here
accent.
that we have an accent.
A?
A.
I mean, to me, we have slang words. I don't feel like we have an accent.
Oh, we have so many catchy lingos, though.
We do,
Yeah.
though. I mean, I say
do.
going out to the car,
Yeah.
you know, and if I
Yeah.
really think about it, it's the car. But going out to the car.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and we do. Being in Miramichi and from
It's
Miramichi,
true.
we do.
We have our own
And-
little lingo.
I had studied linguistics at university. I took it from Father Martin, and it was loud instead of loud. And mom instead of mum. You know, taught us how to speak, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, to pronunciate.
And
Yeah.
denunciate.
Right?
And
Exactly.
round our
That's just it.
vowels.
Yeah.
We have some things coming up in Miramichi. We just got through with the 59th Folk Song Festival,
Canada's
which I heard.
longest running.
Yep.
It's
And it was a huge success.
incredible, yeah.
A lot of people
Well,
attended.
yeah, and Susan Butler does. So, I mean, she does so much work year round. We were lucky enough to have Susan on the show a few months
Yes.
ago, and she does so much work year round on the festival.
34
I
years she's been
know.
involved.
I know, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Heading that up.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly,
As
and
the
another
director, yeah.
big event, and it
Yeah.
was a huge success. And
Brought in a lot
kudos
of
to
people.
her and all
Yes.
those who were part of it and the volunteers, because
Yes.
without them,
Volunteers
we know
again.
it doesn't get done.
Yeah.
No, that's just it.
Wonderful.
And coming up, we have the Napan Agricultural Fair.
Yes,
right.
yeah.
That's coming up this
I
week.
love
That's
that.
exciting.
I love that.
I
I,
do
love
too.
going to see that because you know you got
Yeah.
the horses and the
cattle.
livestock.
Horses.
And, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't like animals except
No.
dogs.
Yeah. But I love going to that every year.
Yeah,
and
that's
the
always a
Napan
big
people
turnout.
are so happy to host
They
that. They're
are.
so proud, and they should be. Napan's a beautiful community.
It is.
I take drives through there, south of Napan and North Napan Road, and I think, what a
I lived in
beautiful
Napan
area.
for about 14 years.
Did you?
Yep, I did when I first
South
started
Napan?
having children. I was on the North Napan Road, so I was across the highway on this end of her, and but it's absolutely
It was quiet,
beautiful.
so you had one
It's a
baby,
little
and you said,
quieter.
I'll have another
Well,
one,
no, I
another
lived
one.
Well, the racetrack was across the street from me, so
I
I won't
remember
say it
you.
was really quiet,
You had
but
a hard time with that, didn't you?
initially, and it wasn't the noise as much as the traffic that was a bigger
Oh.
issue for me.
Yeah.
That there was just so much traffic
can't
every other
imagine
weekend
living by
with 4
Speedway.
kids.
No.
But
No.
no, that's just it. I could watch them race towards my house because the track was set up that way to come towards me. So,
Oh, goodness.
yeah,
They
we
do
could sit in
some,
the living room. but-
Unusual things at that fair. They've upped their
know.
game as
Yeah.
far as events go.
Yeah.
And the last couple of years they've had the tractor races and the horse show, and I mean, there's so much going on there.
And I hope they get the weather. They've been
hope
so
so.
unfortunate over the years with
know.
the weather. What's
I
with
know.
that?
That's just it
know.
because the RCMP, didn't they do their horse?
Last year,
Musical
the
ride?
musical
That
ride,
is
yeah,
spectacular.
last year.
It was. I didn't get to it, and it was a little bit rainy, if I'm not mistaken.
It was
that
very
day.
rainy, yeah.
Was
Rains.
it?
Yeah,
but
very.
they still had a huge turnout
Yes,
for it.
they
It
do.
was
Get
really,
the
really
support they need.
fantastic.
I know, yeah.
And I'm loving this weather. You guys enjoying the heat?
It's absolutely stunning.
I've been walking my
Absolutely.
dog.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't lay out by the pool or anything, but we have a
No.
pool I'm enjoying.
I
It's
did
fun.
take in a boat ride last Saturday. We had chartered a boat. It was close to 30 of us, and we sailed out to Betavin Islands
Beautiful.
and partake. And hundreds of boats go there and line up in
Yes.
order.
Fun, fun, fun.
And yeah, it
It
was.
was hot.
It was
Scorcher.
It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Unlike last year where come 6 p.m. a big cloud come over and a wind come up and it was like right out of the movie like Dorothy and Toto and the winds were going and the boats were all rocking and everybody was trying to get undone and speed away at the same time, and there were like 20 or 30 of us in the cuddy with rain jackets and life jackets on.
Wow.
All the way back to Miramichi. It was
had a
a
lot of
little
lightning
frightening
storms.
last year. We have.
We had a lot of thunder and lightning.
Yeah, I think that comes too from the significant amount of hot weather that we've had,
Love
right?
hot weather.
And the barometric
humidity.
pressure, and
Yeah.
and that
But
develops.
they're fun
into-
to watch. I don't mind them at all.
It is when they come up
My
and
dog
they're
doesn't
just
love them.
No. I
No.
find them exciting to watch as long
My
as you're in
dog
a safe
doesn't either.
place.
Yeah, no, my dog
that's
has
just
them.
it.
Usually ironing when there's electrical. I'm always ironing.
Yeah. Well, you might as well stand outside with a video camera then.
Yeah, you really.
Storm watcher.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had just heard a big crack in my backyard, and this was on a beautiful day without any wind or anything else like that. So I don't know if those storms and stuff had weakened this tree.
Could have.
But I couldn't see it and I didn't witness it. But that old saying, like if a tree falls in
Yes.
the woods, does it make? Yes, it
Yes,
does.
it does.
It does make a huge crash, and
Scary.
I went across the street to go in the woods to take a peek to see. So, but anyway, we have more Have a Chat coming up. Don't go away. We'll be talking with our guest, Chris Aylward. Hi, and welcome back to Have a Chat. I'm Audrey Lynch with my co-stars Veronique and Judy. And joining us now, we have a special guest coming all the way from Ottawa. Chris Aylward is joining us this afternoon to talk to us a little bit about the Payroll Center and the Phoenix program. And welcome.
Great, thank you. It's great to be here.
Thanks
Very
for joining
nice
us.
for you to come all the way from Ottawa.
I
to
know.
Miramichi.
I think you're our furthest guest.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
You've traveled the furthest to be
Yes.
on Have a Chat. So,
I love coming to Miramichi.
oh,
I
that's
really do.
fantastic.
We love Miramichi too, so welcome.
Thank
So
you.
tell us a little bit about who you are and yourself.
I'm a proud Newfoundlander and Labradorian. I was born and raised in St. John's. I started with the Canada Revenue Agency, actually,
Okay.
back a few years ago.
I don't hear an accent coming out.
I know,
of
we were talking
about
Newfoundland.
accents
We were
earlier.
talking a
Yeah.
little bit about that. I'm like, okay.
No, and I've been living in Ottawa for 23 years, so maybe that's the reason why.
there you
I'm
go.
not sure.
It worked out. It worked itself out.
A very, very heated issue that you're here to discuss this afternoon.
Yes, it is, and in some cases, I guess, not very pleasant as to what some of the employees here in Miramichi have to go through, unfortunately.
No, exactly. There's a lot of talk, both ends of the scale, and even people who are not within the system having opinions and thoughts on what went wrong and why it went wrong and what you should do about it. So fill us in a little bit about.
So you're the vice president of the National PSAC
Right.
union, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Public Service Alliance of
Yeah.
Canada. We represent about 180,000 members in total, and about 140,000 of those are federal public sector workers.
Okay.
But when you look at the pay center specifically, and you look at the history and as to, how did this start, and as you say, a lot of people sort of point to, it's because it's in Miramichi, and it has absolutely nothing to do with that, obviously. Pay has been administered, federal pay has been administered in Miramichi since 2010. So everything was going fine. There's always some glitches with pay. Somebody didn't get paid properly or didn't get this kind of pay or that kind of pay. But for the most part, for the first 5 years, while pay was being administered in Miramichi, everything was going along fine.
Yes, we never heard a boo.
Right.
Didn't hear a thing about it.
That's right. And then they decide to roll out this new Phoenix system. It's basically it's an off-the-shelf piece of software that IBM looked at, and IBM said, yes, we can adapt this, we can customize this to fit every pay anomaly within the federal public service. Obviously, they were wrong.
Someone was wrong.
Yes, obviously, and terribly wrong. There was some testing on it. It was initially scheduled to be rolled out July of 2015. And when we seen it, we said, this is not ready. You can't do this yet. So they said, okay. They delayed it till October. It was supposed to be rolled out again in October. We told them again, it's still not ready. They delayed it till February. We told them in February, still not ready. They went ahead and they rolled it out. And they rolled it out in 2 phases, late February and late April.
So almost 7 months ago.
Exactly, was the initial layout.
It's a long time.
And from day one, when they introduced this Phoenix and when they rolled it out, there was problems. So prior to the second phase of being rolled out in late April, we asked them, don't roll out the second phase.
It doesn't seem to make sense why they would.
Right. It's like you have a broken car, you drove it the first time and you didn't get to work, and now you're going to try to the same car again.
But
so
the Phoenix system itself was brought in to replace a nearly 40-year-old system that was being utilized.
True.
So could there have perhaps been, I guess, that feeling of urgency because the previous system was so old and they wanted to get it rolling as quickly as possible?
As much as the old system was old, there's no doubt about that. It had been in place for quite a few years, but
it was working.
It worked.
It was working.
Right, so why fix
if
the
it
wheel?
ain't broke,
Yeah, exactly.
why fix it?
So when they rolled out the Phoenix system, that's when all the problems started, right? And that's when all the issues
We have bigger
began,
issues where people are not actually getting a paycheck at all.
Right.
Huge.
And the minister was here just recently.
Yes, actually.
She announced, and she had committed to over 700 employees that they would be paid on July 27th.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
And when the minister makes a commitment, and that commitment is not followed through on, you've got problems.
You're right.
No, exactly.
So what they should have done back in February when they decided to roll out Phoenix, maybe they should have just rolled it out, and we did suggest this. Just roll it out to the executive cadre. Just roll it out for the members of parliament, the deputy ministers, and the assistant deputy ministers.
And see if
it works. Because if it doesn't work, you know bloody well it's going to get fixed pretty quick.
No, exactly.
So obviously, they didn't do that.
We have actually some video and footage of when the minister was here talking to Miramichiers here. So we'll show that little clip next.
What you were able to learn today?
Well, it was a very good meeting with all of the employees in the Pay Center here in Miramichi. It was an opportunity to let them know that what's happening with Phoenix has nothing to do with them, that I have every confidence in their ability to get the job done. This is an enterprise-wide solution for a pay system that's the largest in the country. We're talking 300,000 employees. There are bound to be challenges, but I wanted to make sure that the employees here in Miramichi knew that what was happening with Phoenix did not reflect on them, and that their jobs are secure, that the Pay Center will remain here in Miramichi. I asked questions about when they were ready to launch Phoenix, because as you know, we inherited this decision, whether or not there were any problems that we could expect, whether or not we were actually ready to go. I was assured that we were, but with any system, I mean, I'm not naive. I realize that there are bound to be challenges. Anything of this magnitude, when you're talking about technology, there are bound to be challenges. But of the magnitude that we're experiencing, I don't think anybody foresaw that, and so that is the problem that we're having right now, is making sure that the backlog is dealt with, but our priority has been to make sure that anyone who didn't receive a check received that check. So the 720 people who had not received a paycheck at all, We undertook to deal with them on a priority basis. 486 of those would have received a paycheck on today's payroll system. The other 20 didn't, or the other 200 didn't, because there would have been missing information. The information is entered by departments, so if there was a name spelled wrong or if there was a wrong address, then that will go back to the department. I'm told that that has now been cleared up as well, and they will be issued checks on the next payroll.
So it looks like she seems to think that things are on the way to being rectified as far as the paychecks that were delayed, and that the others will soon.
But when you look at that, and they've made a commitment that this will all be fixed by October. But when you look at their track record since February, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in this October date either. Again, because it's the system. It's a system. If you have a calculator and you put in 5 plus 5, and the calculator tells you the answer is 4,
Right.
you can have 100 people do that. You can have 1,000 people do that. But
No, the
until you
system
realize
itself has
I
to
need a
be.
new calculator,
It is not
Yeah.
funny.
then
Exactly.
it's not going to get fixed.
I'm
Exactly.
laughing, but it is not funny.
No.
Not at all.
Very, very
No,
serious.
because
and I meant
paying
to
all
put it
those
well.
paying all those employees, like you said, there's your paycheck. We're all caught up. Does not still fix Phoenix.
Right. That's
Right?
That's right. You got to fix
It's
the
gonna-
system. Exactly. And until they haven't recognized that, and they haven't
Okay.
said that yet. They said yes, we're all going to open a temporary center in Gatineau. Yes, we're going to put more people on this, which is all great. But until they come out and recognize and say we've got a problem with this
Phoenix.
system called Phoenix, then I like as I said, I don't have a whole lot of confidence that going forward that they're going to be able to get this fixed.
But there's got to be some accountability as well with the company that provided the software, correct? I mean, if I provide a service or a product and the product or service doesn't perform as it is meant to and creates issues, then the accountability is mine.
The onus is on them.
Right,
That's
and so there must be some sort of method or mechanism that can feed back to the company that provided the software, that we purchased the software from, right? Because we did. I'm assuming that we purchased the software, right? So there must be something, and what is that feedback, or what is that what's coming from that company to say this is how we're going to fix the situation?
Well, that's a very good question, and it would be even better if we seen the actual contract to see exactly what IBM was contracted to do, because we are in possession of a study that was done, or a commission actually, that was done in Australia from 2010. Pay system, brand new pay system put in place by IBM, and it didn't work. And they went years with Australian public servants not being paid. And they had to do a commission. They struck a commission to look into what went wrong here. The Minister Foote, has said that she has asked the Auditor General's office to look at this to see what the problems are. As well, if you recall, a couple of weeks ago, Prime Minister Trudeau was having a press conference on the child tax benefit.
Yes.
And when he was asked about the Phoenix system, he said that obviously it was unacceptable, and that he was asking the clerk of the Privy Council to look into it.
Well, that's
so when
good.
you have the Minister asking the Auditor General to look into it, when you have the Prime Minister asking the clerk of the Privy Council to look into it, I think they get it. I think they realize we've got a problem here.
Right.
And until though they realize the problem is Phoenix, then as I said, it's still insecurities as to exactly how this is going to be fixed. Because it's certainly, and I want to emphasize, and it was encouraging to hear the minister say that it is not the people in Miramichi, it is not the employees in Miramichi, and we've been saying that all along.
So good to hear.
They're simply working or trying to work with a system that doesn't work. We know, because we represent those members as well at the Pay Center here in Miramichi, that they are completely stressed, that they are under stress every day, that they realize, they understand their job, and they know it. They're very competent.
They are. They're trained and they're well qualified people, so it's
Exactly.
not them, and that's great that you're putting that out
That's
there, so
right.
they feel that they're not being, shouldering the blame.
Right, exactly.
But are there not 13 unions that are asking the federal government to rule, or asking the government to pay these people as
Yes.
quickly as possible?
There's 13 bargaining agents of the federal government that have filed an application, to the
Yes.
federal court by ways of what we call a writ of mandamus. So basically, a writ of mandamus is you ask the courts to tell somebody or order somebody to do something that they're supposed to be doing that they're not doing. So in this case, the government tell the government to pay its employees something
Yes.
that they're supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah.
So we've done that. We filed an unfair labor practice because we are in the midst of collective bargaining as well. We filed a policy grievance on behalf of the employees here in Miramichi. We filed a policy grievance under technological change, under the collective agreement as well. So and as you pointed out, we are pursuing the fact that going after the government to ensure that any of our members who have suffered any kind of financial loss, whether it be interest on credit cards, NSF charges, reconnection fees for utilities, because some of our members had utilities cut off.
They can be hefty.
Exactly.
You know, when they continue to happen every week or every biweekly or monthly.
Right. Yep.
can add
So
up really
we're pursuing
fast.
that, and we're confident that we're going to be able to obtain this. So we're doing everything we possibly can to make sure that the members are being paid, and secondly, those who are suffering any charges, to make sure that they're covered financially as well.
We're talking about the payment of 300,000 people in Canada on the payroll system, right?
Right. That's right.
Huge.
So if we continue to look at, support, I guess, from the union perspective, and you're talking about, filing grievances, what support from the union perspective is there for, one, the members who are, not getting paid at all, and two, the members who are working here in the payroll center, the Miramichi Payroll Center, which, let's be honest, was a huge boon for our community.
Oh, yes, we're
when
excited.
it was announced and implemented by, by our former MP who worked hard for it, and now
For
our
it to come here,
right,
yeah.
and our current MP who's working hard to support them. But how is the union providing support? Because it's taking an incredible mental toll.
Totally.
On those who aren't being paid and the employees here who are trying to process it. So what is the union being able to do to help them?
Well, first of all, they hopefully they understand that they have our support, right? We've been here now a number of times, meeting with the employees at the Pay Center, both here at the mall and at the mill as well. And we understand that the stress that they're under, and we're providing assistance in that way, as far as the workplace itself is concerned, right? And we're dealing with the employer as well. As far as the members who are not getting paid, we do have an escalated process in place, whereas if they provide, and my email is out there, if they provide me with an email basically, describing the situation and give me their PRINE number, which is a personal record identifier basically, and their consent to share the information with Public Services and Procurement Canada, then we send that over and we ask for it to be escalated and to be dealt with, because we've heard, we've heard heartbreaking stories, basically, by people not being paid for months.
They're terrible.
For months.
Trying to support family and, having to
Most
live.
of those that are affected are those who are either coming off leave or going on leave. Students, new employees, that kind of thing, right?
Retirement.
Right. Any kind of a pay anomaly, I guess, if you want to call it. It seems to have the most effect. For sure, people who are coming back from leave, trying to be entered back into the system, as well as those going off on leave, as well as retirees. We have people who have been retired and who continue to get paychecks, and because they continue to get a paycheck, now they're considered overpaid, and now they can't collect their pension.
Great.
So it's a double whammy.
Lose-lose situation.
Right.
Well, I can see it even trickling over into other businesses, and the biggest one that comes to mind for me is banking institutions. Now you have all these people with mortgages and loans who are not able to pay their bills, so their credit ratings are going, and I would imagine the banking institution having that many people not paying their bills, is that not going to affect their business as well, and interest rates are going to fluctuate and change because of it? And
well, can you imagine, just picture you calling your financial institution saying, I can't pay my mortgage this month or my loan this month because I didn't get paid, and excuse me, your application say you work for the government of Canada.
Exactly.
And you're telling, so
It's really awful.
Absolutely.
So you're saying about 80,000 people currently are not being paid?
That's what Public Service and Procurement Canada have confirmed. That 80,000 people have been affected.
In some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
All right.
80, that's 30%
I know.
of those who are being paid out of Phoenix.
So that's
No.
situation.
But I think when you, this is probably one of the most recent and most significant changes and technology changes that the government of Canada has undertaken. It would be in the last number of years. So, I think we can expect some glitches, as you said. There was, some shifts when it happened, when we moved here to Miramichi anyway with the payroll center. But I don't think anybody foresaw the outrageous number
Right.
of glitches that have happened since the instigation of this system.
Go back to the
Right.
old system.
Well, and that's what we call for. We
Really?
we basically say take Phoenix offline. We're not
Yes.
saying scrap it.
No.
Not yet. But we're saying take it offline.
Right.
Fix it,
Yeah.
get it right, and then put it back online. And when
Right.
you put it back online, only put it back online
with the-
for members of parliament, deputy
Right.
ministers, and assistant
Yeah.
deputy ministers.
That
And if
makes
their
total
paychecks
sense.
go through okay.
Exactly. And you talk about it, prior coming to Miramichi, even before pay was administered out of Miramichi, and I want to reiterate that it's been administered out of Miramichi since
Right.
2010, and even before that, there was always glitches here and there with people's pay, right? I didn't
Yes.
get paid properly, or I didn't get this allowance, or I didn't get my acting pay. So there's always been some issues, but nothing to the magnitude that we've seen since February, since the rollout of Phoenix.
Yeah.
So and it's not just those now not getting paid, but because you're not getting paid, your premiums for your health benefits are not being deducted.
No, that's right,
And now
too.
you're being denied benefits as well.
No, that's
So
just
there's
it.
going to
Well,
be other offices opened up in Montreal, Shawinigan.
Shawinigan, Toronto,
Shawinigan.
and Winnipeg.
Okay, and
Okay.
a satellite in Quebec for now?
A temporary
Gatineau.
satellite office in Gatineau. Yeah.
All
So
to
we'll talk
deal
a
with the
little-
backlog.
yeah,
Yes.
we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. We're going to be taking a short break. If you're just tuning in, we have Chris Aylward joining us to talk to us about the payroll center. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what the next steps are and maybe what could have been done. So don't go away. We'll have a chat when we come right back. Welcome back to Have a Chat. We've been having a very interesting conversation with our guest, Chris Aylward from Ottawa, who's been talking to us about the payroll center. You are the National Vice President of Public Service Alliance of Canada, and you are helping to calm and ease the concerns of the employees of the payroll center here in Miramichi.
How long have you been in that position, by the way?
So I've been the national vice president since 2012.
So you've got some good experience.
Yes, and I've actually worked with, since 2010, we established what we call a transformation of pay, union management consultation,
Okay.
and I've sat on that since 2012 with Public Works,
Yep.
now Public Service Procurement Canada.
Okay.
So, this thing is not something all of a sudden, boom, it's
No.
brand new, right?
No,
No,
Right.
exactly.
It's not new at all. And it's
So-
certainly not new. new for
Unfortunate
Miramichi.
that the Miramichiers are being targeted as the fault. That's,
Yeah,
that's sad.
and the employees.
And that's some- yes.
for sure. And it's absolutely not the fault of the employees at the pay center. Absolutely
Has
not.
nothing to
That's
do with
crucial to
the
hear.
fact that it's here. Yeah,
Well, it's
exactly.
such a tough position for them because they're people are frustrated and angry and terrified and caught in the midst of a very difficult situation. And when they call in to talk to someone, unfortunately, the payroll center employees are getting the brunt of that, right?
Yep.
And it
Undeservingly.
right, and they can understand it because we would all be in that. We talked about it earlier.
I know, they're
We all
competent,
live
trained people.
paycheck. Most of us live paycheck
Yeah.
to paycheck, right? Rightly or
Yeah.
wrongly, we do, or paycheck to 4 days before paycheck, depending on how you're managing your money that month. But so I can understand. I would be in that sheer panic if if either my pay was late or not enough or not getting it at all. And unfortunately, our employees here at the payroll center here in Miramichi are getting the brunt of that on a daily
Right.
basis.
You can't just
Right.
take time off to deal with it. You have to
That's
keep
right.
working under the
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah.
So
That's
you've got
right.
that financial and mental overload, and plus you have all this to deal with and still trying to do your job.
That's right.
Exactly.
Especially the
You know-
employees at the pay center
Yes.
who are on the phones.
That's
Yes.
it.
Yeah, taking all those
they,
calls.
they take one basically abusive call
Crap,
after
crap,
another.
crap. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not, like I said, it's certainly not deserving because
No.
it's not their
No,
fault.
and some people
Well,
can handle that, and some
and
people
that
can't.
was such a concern, I think, of all of ours when we first started talking about this a few weeks ago, was that it seemed to be portrayed time and time again that because the payroll
moved it to
center
Miramichi.
was here in in northern New Brunswick in a
Small
small
little
city,
city.
and
Yeah.
and that local people were being hired, that they weren't trained well enough, or whatever the case may be. But I think
So untrue.
all of us would like everyone to know that regardless of where this pay center was,
right.
whether it
No.
in Ottawa or here in Miramichi or another smaller city in the country, that it is the significant problems do not come from the employees
That's right.
themselves.
They're very
Or the
competent.
fact that it's here in Miramichi.
Exactly.
Right.
No,
As
exactly.
I said, the pay center's been established since 2010.
Right.
I wasn't here doing the show in 2011.
No, no, no.
No,
2012.
That's right.
Right.
It's been a long
So it's
time
now
and
since-
place when
since
things
Phoenix.
were good.
Yeah.
So would you say your strong opinion is Phoenix is the issue.
And the
Absolutely.
software is the issue.
Is the biggest
Absolutely.
biggest
The
issue
new
with
software
this.
screwed everything up.
Yes.
Yeah.
It needs to be fixed.
Because besides people not getting paid, there's other glitches too that some people might initially not think being overpaid as a glitch. You know, but it does cause bigger problems when it comes to their benefits. Now, tell us a little bit more how that works.
Well, right now, the way they're doing the recoveries of overpayments, right? I mean, the
Okay.
Financial Administration Act says first available funds of any debt basically owing to the Crown. The Financial Administration Act says first available funds. So if you're overpaid, let's say $5,000, that's gross. You may have put $3,000 in your pocket, right, or
Right.
had $3,000 in the bank, and the other $2,000 went towards your deduction, CPP, EI,
Right.
income tax. Well, when they're doing the recovery, they're recovering the entire $5,000.
$5,000.
And our members simply don't have $2,000 that they never had in the first place.
place.
They say, here you go, there's your
None of us-
$5,000
yeah,
back.
none of us have it.
Exactly.
Yeah, none of us
And they're
have it.
saying, oh, you'll just get it back from CRA next year when you file your taxes. Well, our members can't afford to wait that
No.
long.
No,
quite
exactly.
frankly.
None of
So-
us
And it's
could.
affecting people's benefits.
Right.
Go to the
As
dentist,
well.
you think you have coverage to get that tooth fixed. Oh, sorry, you don't have a dental plan.
Exactly. Because you didn't get a paycheck,
Right.
your premiums
You
weren't
didn't pay into it
deducted.
this
Really
month, so
A side issue
Right.
that people aren't really focused on either.
No,
It's a
and-
big
Right.
one.
And I never would have thought of the benefits, to be honest, because I just kept thinking about the fact, well, if I'm not getting any money in my bank account, I'm struggling just with the day to day.
Yes.
But in actual fact, as you said a little bit earlier, that that means that my benefits are not being paid to the company that
That's
administers my benefits.
That's right.
So then I'm no longer covered.
That's really
Right.
scary too.
that's scary for people
Right.
with
It is.
children
Of
or
course.
you know.
Visual problems going to the optometrist.
Yeah.
Anything.
Huge.
anything.
Any prescription drugs.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. The other thing that came up was shortly after this all seemed to go a little haywire, they announced that there was going to be in Gatineau, Quebec, an office open up there that would help with the backlog. And of
Satellite.
course, that
It is there.
Yeah,
Satellite
and
one.
then at our end of it, it was a big panic.
For
that
sure, people were
they're going
afraid.
to take it away from Miramichi.
Okay.
That this is actually being set up so that you'll have a go-to when.
People will move from
Things-
Miramichi to Quebec. That was the mindset.
Yeah, no,
But that's not the case.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
No.
And we would actually defend keeping the pay center here in Miramichi. Absolutely. The minister was very clear when she announced the middle of June that they were establishing a temporary pay center in Gatineau, that it was temporary.
Yes.
And it was for, I believe, when they were offering jobs, I believe they were offering jobs for up to 4 months.
Right.
For about 100
So-
workers.
Exactly.
Okay.
The last number that I heard, which was just a couple of weeks ago, that there was 56 people working there.
Okay.
So
Just a little bit over half, yeah.
yeah, exactly. So no, I if I was working in Miramichi, I would have no fear of the center being moved. I
Yeah.
mean, a new building is under construction.
Well, we're not even
We
We're
drive
not
by
even
it
in
every
the
day.
building.
We
Right.
say, look at that beautiful piece of
Yes.
construction. That is something great for our city. I know, a great big beautiful new payroll center. We're proud of that.
Right, and there's no
And-
reason for anybody to say we got to get that pay center out of Miramichi.
Oh God, no.
No.
Right? There's absolutely no reason there
That's
for anybody
good.
to say that.
You're
And I think-
comforting a lot
yeah.
of people.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. And we heard it from the minister when she was here. Within the last 10 days, that it isn't moving. We
Okay.
heard it from the prime minister as
Yes.
well, that is committed to staying here in the region, and now from you as well. And I think that goes a long way.
Well, they're top sources, right?
Right,
Yeah.
to alleviating that part of that stress, because as a community we've struggled over the last
Yeah.
number of years with our
Yeah.
significant mill closures and economic challenges.
We've had
Right.
rough
So
spots.
this kind of employment here in the region, with people coming from away to buy new homes and
Right.
to move and to start their jobs, and from a large part of our Miramichiers working there, it really has made a difference. And so there was that concern. People I talked to on the street had that concern
Scarce.
that, well, if they're starting already to set up another center, it would be so much easier to move it out of here. But
Right.
we've heard it now from everyone, which is fantastic.
And like I
No.
said, there's absolutely there's no justification whatsoever for moving it from Miramichi.
Okay,
None
so how are we
whatsoever.
going to iron this out? Like,
Yeah.
how is
Next
this going
steps.
to be? What are we working on now, Chris, as the vice president of the union? What are you attacking now as the
We're currently working with both the Public Services Procurement Canada and Treasury Board as well, because as I said, when the Prime Minister makes an announcement that he's looking at this and he
Right.
has his office looking at this, obviously people in Ottawa
Pay attention.
And they're doing that. So we are constantly working with Treasury Board to
Okay.
try to get this figured out. We are still pursuing our court challenge. We will take
Okay.
them to court over this. We will pursue the other grievances that we filed on behalf of the members as well. But we continue to stress,
Of course.
and to the minister in particular, that you've got to recognize you've got a system problem here. And yes, you can talk about clearing up the backlogs, but as long as the problems exist within the system, the backlogs are only going to continue as well.
So what is IBM saying?
IBM is saying, unfortunately, very little, if anything
Okay,
at all.
I'm like,
Jeepers.
okay, because the
So-
guy we bought it from, or that they bought it from, is
Can't
he,
be that difficult.
Right.
like she had said earlier, can they not
Exactly.
be held accountable for their product that they said could handle
That
this?
would work.
Right.
Would
Does it
handle
not
it.
come
That's
with
right.
any guarantee? Can we not say we want our money back?
Apparently
They said it
not.
would work.
Apparently not.
Oh,
but it
okay.
would be interesting to see exactly what that contract said
Said.
and what they were obligated to do. Maybe they met all their obligations. I don't know.
Right.
But certainly when somebody comes in and says, we can adapt this, we can customize this to meet all of the different anomalies and to do what you need it to do, and you don't do that,
No.
then obviously you need to be accountable for this.
Of course.
So, and there's people that have to be held accountable for this.
Yes,
agree.
So I think people
definitely.
wouldn't understand what the issue comes from, and I had done some digging, so I learned a little bit about it. So that, like, each department of the government has their own collective bargaining agreement, right? Each department
paid different.
or most of them
Right?
do, right? So that something that is in a bargaining agreement or a pay scale for one department may not be in the other. So when that anomaly happens, when this person is collecting overtime or whatever, or going on leave, and you have to input a different set of circumstances
Right.
into that system,
Right.
than this person over here. So person A and person B are two very different
that's
bargaining
right.
agreements, perhaps. And so when that overtime or that maternity leave or paternity leave happens, and the input codes go in here, they may be different over here. And so that changes from department to department or person to person, which is then creating this anomaly.
Right, and it's not so much the collective agreements. For the most part, they're the same. But you're absolutely right in respect to categories of jobs,
Right.
or classification of positions.
Right.
The Coast Guard, for example, is a very good one.
Mm-hmm.
The Coast Guard, it is a complicated system. It's called a lay day system. So depending
Right.
on the
Yeah, I
number of
don't
days you spend
understand
out at
that one.
sea, dictates how many days off you get.
Right.
And they were in a terrible mess. I had a director from the Atlantic region with the Coast Guard just back in March tell me, I'm concerned I'm not going to be able to put ships out to sea
Wow.
because
Yeah.
our employees are quitting because they're not getting
Yes.
paid.
Right.
And so you're absolutely right. Any kind of a pay anomaly at all, it seemed to just throw the system completely
Right.
into
Because
helter-skelter.
people would think, and I would think if I hadn't read as much as I did, that, well, it's it's the federal government, so we're all paid
Under the same umbrella.
under
Right.
the same umbrella and in the same way.
Yeah,
But that's not
not
in
the
fact
case.
true, right? It changes from
No.
job
right.
to job and
Exactly.
classification to
Yeah.
classification.
Because you have people not even bothering to file for the fact that they worked overtime or refusing to work it because they're so scared it's going to affect their paycheck that all of a sudden they won't even get one.
Right.
Just because of that little change,
Yeah,
they're not even
so-
willing to do that.
And you're right. We're hearing from members saying exactly that, saying I'm going to refuse overtime because I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I'm going to get paid for it, or I'm going to work it
It's
and
gonna-
demand I'm going to take leave instead of the
Yeah.
pay.
Instead.
Right.
No.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So but I think if we take the silver lining out of this whole situation right at this particular time is that everybody's eyes are focused.
Yes.
Right, we have the government
Oh,
is focused
on the
very much
radar.
so. You mentioned the Prime Minister's office
Yeah.
and of course the Minister's office as well. The union, the
Yeah.
employees, everyone is focused on finding a solution at this time. And I think good can come out of that,
It has-
right?
Something has to give.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
because I mean, when you're not looking at it, or you think that it's a smaller problem than it may be, then that solution doesn't come. But I
Right.
think now that everyone is focused on the
yes.
problem and looking to finding that solution quickly, good has to come from that situation.
But I just
Right.
worry, Veronica, I know you're taking the silver
Yeah.
lining. It's been
Yeah.
7 months of
No,
this
I
crap
agree.
going on, though. People are getting fed up, so
Yeah.
it has to keep going forward fast.
Right.
Yeah.
People are going to be leaving and trying to find other jobs, and it's,
Because I
That's
have to
right.
agree with Chris too. If they haven't been, and the minister hasn't said yet either, that you're right, Phoenix has a problem and we have to pull the plug there or take a break from it, and she hasn't admitted that yet, that is the core reason that there's a problem happening. To me, in my head, what are they doing to fix it if they're not actually willing to deal with
to say
that?
that's
Right.
a problem.
That's part of the problem.
That's right. And as I said, the backlogs will just
Just piling
continue.
on.
Right.
Yeah.
The employees at the pay center here will just keep getting frustrated and having to keep take the brunt of those
Yeah.
very stressful, nasty phone calls
They
that
can't
are
take
so
so much.
undeserving.
And it does
because
scare
it's-
people to leave the job. Like, if you
For
can't
sure.
take stress, there's only so much stress you can take.
Well, they have to pay their bills.
And they have to pay their bills, but you
Right.
don't want to crack under the pressure either. Maybe they'll find another job, Audrey, Do you know what I'm saying? They'll take another. They're good paying jobs, and these people have worked hard to acquire the accreditation to be able to take a job like this.
No,
but I mean, if you have 5 kids at home and you're going crazy at home, plus your
and
job,
the bank's going to take your house because you've missed so many payments. Like that's a real. That's a reality. Those are things that could definitely happen within those short few months.
That's right.
Because it's already been how many?
7 almost in August.
Yeah. So it's good, like you say, Judy, that the fact that the Prime Minister's office has got the attention of this now. Certainly, the minister has made several commitments. So we know that somebody somewhere, though, in Ottawa since February really haven't been either told the truth or they simply didn't want to hear the truth. One of the two.
Right.
But now we know that the minister and the Prime Minister's office are aware of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
There is some comfort in that.
That's wonderful news.
So the biggest takeaway, and perhaps, what do you want both, Miramichi to know and Canada to know about this situation? What's your takeaway for everyone that's involved at this point?
Well, first of all, for everybody across Canada, it's not the people in Miramichi. It is not their problem. It is not their fault that this is happening. As I said earlier, they're simply working with a system that doesn't work.
That's right.
They are immensely under stress at the Pay Center here in Miramichi, and it's not their fault.
No.
And I can't say that enough.
Sad.
It's simply not their fault. What we need to do is to make sure that the issues are brought forward.
Right.
Because a lot of our members as well, I mean, we know, we asked our members to start writing the minister back in mid-June. We know to date over 5,000 of our members have written the minister complaining about this Phoenix pay system.
Oh.
But that's only the members who are prepared to come forward.
Right.
Yes.
We know we have so many other members who are suffering pay issues,
Okay.
who are afraid to come forward, afraid of reprisals. They may be a student, they
Of
may
course.
be a term employee,
Right.
who are afraid to come forward.
Right.
So we have to make sure that please bring the issues forward so we can try to help and try to get this fixed.
Yeah.
These people are so afraid of comments. They'd say, "Oh, we could never comment as a worker, as an employee."
They are afraid
Can't.
of
Terrified.
Yeah,
To open their
exactly.
mouth about it.
So what is your suggestion to government employees right here, right now, who have any, besides voicing their opinion on how things are going, but their paychecks or everybody's just calling and phoning in with what their issues are? Just keep doing that?
Well, certainly to let us know.
Okay.
Certainly they can send me an email. My email is on the PSAC website.
Right.
They can send me an email, and I work with our component president, who's directly responsible for the employees here at the Pay Center as well. So we're working together with Public Service and Procurement Canada to try to resolve the problem. So they have to come forward. They have to let us know what the issues are, so that we can get it escalated and get it dealt with. To the employees here in Miramichi, keep up the great work because they are doing a great job here.
Yes.
Absolutely. And we recognize, and I believe now a lot of our members are starting to sense it as well, that it is not the employees in Miramichi.
Right.
It is not their fault.
That's the best take-home message that you could possibly give.
Yeah.
People out there might assume otherwise. So.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
For clarifying
No,
that.
and it's true. I mean, we said, our deputy mayor, our interim mayor, Adam Lorne, was able to speak with Global News, I believe it was, not too long ago, and talk about the fact that we support, the public, the employees here, and that we're, what a boon it was to our community, but also that we realize how stressful a situation this must be.
Right.
And then, but we want to support.
Well, it's one of the
Yeah,
biggest employers
definitely.
in the whole area, right?
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah,
The payroll center. I mean, we
Yeah.
have the gun registry, and we have several
Okay.
others like the hospital, but that's a big one.
Well, we want to thank you, Chris, so much for
Yes.
coming and flying in from Ottawa and talking to us today. And hopefully to our viewers who are watching today that you've cleared up a lot and eased a lot of minds with this situation. And we can look forward and move forward
Yes.
from here.
And you're going to fight it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us at Have a Chat. We'll see you again next week.